Alright, so I've adjusted the settings of this microphone at least a dozen times by now, and I'm hoping I got it right this time. So far, the gain seems like it's in a reasonable area. I may have to make some adjustments here in a second, but nonetheless, YouTube, it's your boy Zach Zeiler, and I'm over here giving you guys that exclusive content there in the beginning, the intro of this video of me watering my farm animals, my ducks. So yeah, you guys, like, the title of this video will more than likely be something to do with how I am growing my lower body and everything. So, you know, my training and stuff, I would say, has changed quite a bit recently. And, you know, my approach towards training quads, hamstrings, glutes, calves, whatever, you name it. And just to get into that right now, starting from the ground up. And no, I don't even mean calves necessarily to start with. You know, I'd like to talk about my mobility in my ankles. Something that I've always seemed to suffer from. I do seem to have a lack of mobility in my ankles to this day, even after quite a bit of stretching, quite a bit of different mobility exercises and stuff over the past several years on and off. I mean, it's hard for me to stay consistent with it. I'm very good about stretching before my leg workouts and everything, but like my structure specifically, the squat, it just seems to be such a weird exercise for my build. I have such long legs, and my femurs are a little bit shorter, you know, in comparison to the rest of my leg and everything, so it's just a weird thing to, oh my gosh, my cats, sorry. It's just a weird thing to think about, like, that my mobility still is suffering from this day in terms of reaching proper depth, and the only time I seem to really be able to hit proper depth without any trouble at all is when I'm under heavy weight. When I have that weight that can get my hips low, where I can get into the pocket much easier. When I'm warming up, it's always a bit of a struggle for me. Like with 135, 185, or 225, whatever it may be. It's just harder for me to get into the pocket. I have a lot of cracks and a lot of stretching that I got to do in between sets and everything. But this workout was full psychopath mode. I just hit that 425 for a set of 5. That's like a personal best for me. It's what my programming called for today. And I just wanted to get under heavy weight. This was like an emotional workout. It was a day where, you know, in the morning, like waking up immediately in the morning, the first thought that came to mind was like, today's going to be a strong day. I had that mindset like, you know, I need to get under some heavy weight today. And it's not like I was in a bad mood. I just had that feeling about me where I was confident. And I have days like this where I'll max out on deadlifts or I'll hit some really heavy bench presses. And I can make that connection early on in the day or driving to the gym where I can say, you know, this is a time where I need to take use of feeling so good, waking up in the morning and everything. So not only that, but this was a personal best, the second set of 405 doing the pauses. And both those sets, especially those pauses, completely obliterated my entire lower body to where I went and unracked this 365. I was really struggling to keep my legs steady. And I think I only end up doing like 1 rep of this before I realized, like, yeah, it's time to move on. I destroyed myself with squats. Just those 2 sets of giving absolutely everything that I have to those sets to where if I were to do an extra rep, I probably would have been spilling the weight and messing up my upper or lower back again. So, you know, I was pretty okay with that. A lot of my leg workouts recently have started with isolation. So even before like quad dominant exercises like leg extensions or leg presses, whatever, I've actually been starting and implementing a lot of hamstring isolation before going into my quad workouts, or my quad exercises, rather. And I find that doing hamstrings first it allows my squats to be, it allows my squatting to be much more flexible. I feel much more flexible in my posterior. Hitting depth is much easier. The only downside to it is that you get physically drained from some of the hamstring isolation that you do. But in this workout, I went back to squatting first. I didn't warm up with leg extensions or anything like that. I simply stretched and went straight into the squats. So for me, you know, where I'm at with all of my training, it's very similar to, I guess, what some people would call power building. And, you know, I go really heavy and then I focus on isolation. I focus on contraction. I focus on negatives. I focus on just feeling the weight where I'm supposed to be feeling it. These leg presses are a great example of that. I did like 3 sets with the 10 plates, and I just really focused on engaging. And even watching the video footage now, I feel as though I could have slowed it down and exaggerated it that much more than what you guys are seeing here. But I tried to have that slight pause, feel my quad stretch, and really that's physically like an area where I felt like I was getting deep enough. Any deeper and my ankles would have been bothering me, and I wouldn't have been feeling that quad activation quite as much. So after that, we go into a few sets of leg extension, like, what would you call this? Like a drop set. Yeah, this was a drop set. I wasn't sure if I did a superset or what. And these are just so painful. I started with the entire stack, and I just try to focus in on my quads specifically. One downside to this machine in the gym, you guys can see it in my ankles, one foot is higher. It's just because the design of this machine over time has bent so that I have to twist one ankle in a certain direction to get the same activation as the other. It's really hard to explain, but you know, what I try to go after is control overall. Like, I will do these sets where I go really heavy, I get a little bit sporadic, but you guys will see later in the workout I actually come back to the leg extension again, putting just minimal poundages on the weight stack just to get a proper mind to muscle connection, to completely obliterate and, you know, pump as much blood into the muscle as possible. And I'm mainly after reps here. I'm trying to go after time under tension. I'm trying to implement like a lot of intensity. You guys can see I'm losing my shit here a little bit, but that's necessary for my legs to grow. And it's really weird. Like, I have so many friends that can do a 5x5 and just look at a squat rack and their legs explode. I am not like that at all. And I don't know if it is because of my height. Not that I'm super tall, I'm only 6 feet tall. But filling out my legs, it's just much more difficult. And it's weird because, like, you look at my arms and how long my arms actually are, and I have no problems filling those out either. So it mainly has to do with genetics, I'm sure. It may have to do with many different factors, structure and stuff. So what I'm trying to do is find that sweet spot, you know, different training methods that bring in extra engagement, extra activation. I'm seeing separation in my legs right now that I've never seen before. They're growing very quickly. You know, I have stretch marks all over the place, and you guys don't see me coming on here and showing off my legs by any means. I don't do that often at all, simply because of how critical I am. I want to get my legs to a place where I'm happy with them before I start showing them off, like certain parts of my upper body. You know, I have no problem flexing my biceps and stuff, but in terms of my leg development, they are lagging still, and I'm very critical of that, along with my back. So that's where my main areas are focused upon, is like my leg and back development, adding mass and quality size to both these muscle groups. So finishing off with some of these extensions here, focusing on hamstring and glute involvement. Of course your erectors are going to come into play, but that's really all I got for you guys right now. Not every set was filmed, but I appreciate you guys. Love you all so much. This is Zeiler. Peace out. Bye. So we actually remembered the mass building shake post-workout here for once. This will be a quick 1,000 calories. At least close to 1,000 calories. It could be more, it could be less. And I'm gonna go pick myself up some food. Okay guys, we are back home now. Had to stop by my sister's house. I picked up her dog Milo, and I'm dog sitting him for just tonight, I'm pretty sure. So we have 13 animals in the house right now. Picked myself up a post-workout meal. I know I had that mass building shake, but chicken fried rice, this is like 2 servings worth. I'll probably have this right now and have a second serving later. Got my soy sauce here. But I wanted to show you guys this because this is pretty intriguing. My friend David from the gym, he gave me 3 different magazines here. RX Muscle, of course, I watch Dave Palumbo religiously here on YouTube. And these have some great write-ups in them. He really recommended that I go through and read these. And just looking over them, there's a lot of solidified information in here. It's definitely something different than going on the forums and reading all of these different writings from people that, you know, you don't know what kind of credentials they actually have. So I'll show you guys each of these. And not only that, but he doesn't want me to return them, which is the coolest thing. That I really appreciate it. David, if you watch this, just know that this means a lot to me. I love getting magazines and reading them. You know, it's just nice and refreshing versus, you know, going on YouTube and looking at everything online. So here's the cover to this one. I think the video's flipped, so I'm going to end up having to edit and flip this video since I'm using the front-facing camera. But then here we go. Here's another one right here. Awesome. I cannot wait to open these up. I'm actually going to read one here in the bathtub. I'm going to be very careful not to get it wet or whatever, but instead of just sitting on my iPad on YouTube or whatever, I'll spend my time and get some really good information from these. So, yeah, that's the game plan for right now. Ready? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. There, she doesn't like it. 1, 2, 3.